Iran has warned Israel of retaliation should Israeli forces launch attacks on Iranian targets again. Tel Aviv has vowed revenge after a missile attack by Tehran earlier this month, sparking fears that what is already a war on multiple fronts could morph into an all-out regional war. Israel pressing on with its military campaign against Iran-backed Hezbollah in Lebanon. Israeli warplanes hit Bekaa Valley shortly after the army warned residents there to evacuate immediately. Meanwhile, the United Nations says Israeli forces are firing on its peacekeeping positions in southern Lebanon again, despite Israel giving the reassurance that it does not want to harm the peacekeepers. Meanwhile, over in Gaza, at least 19 people, including children, have been killed after an Israeli strike hit a school in Jabalia in northern Gaza. Dozens more were also injured. Qatar, which has helped mediate talks on a ceasefire in Gaza, says there had been no engagement with any parties on this issue for the last 3 to 4 weeks. The U.S. on Sunday issuing its strongest warning to Israel to improve the humanitarian situation in Gaza within 30 days or face a potential cut in military aid. But EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell says 1 month is just too much time given the current rate of casualty. And more, we're joined by Sarah Coates live from Tel Aviv. Sarah, Israel issuing new strike warnings across parts of Lebanon. We heard there about Bekaa Valley. What's the situation like on the ground in Lebanon?
Hello there, Wei Su. It does appear as though Israel's stated limited campaign in Lebanon is expanding. You mentioned these fresh evacuation orders for the eastern part of Lebanon, the Bekaa Valley, reports of airstrikes there and people fleeing that area. Also a fresh evacuation warning for the coastal city of Tyre. We are hearing that there are airstrikes there as well. Now, what we have been hearing from the Israeli military is that these strikes are targeting things like weapons storage facilities and also Hezbollah command centres. And it is very important to also mention that over the course of the day, even in the last 5 minutes, red alert sirens have been ringing out in these largely evacuated northern communities, while the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, he's really rejecting any kind of push toward a ceasefire. He says there will be no unilateral ceasefire, which would not change the security situation in Lebanon, Wei Su.
Sorry, meanwhile, news about the Israeli building of settlements, this is always contentious, but that has tended to centre on the West Bank. But the Israeli government is scheduling a conference next week on the building of new settlements, this time in Gaza. Do we have any more detail on that?
We certainly do. This is set to be held next week in the Gaza border town of Sderot. It's set to be attended by some 10 members of Benjamin Netanyahu's Likud party, and they are set to declare that Gaza is ours forever. That is according to a number of posters that have been put up to promote this event. Now, also set to attend 2 very high-profile ministers here in Israel. One of those, the National Security Minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, and also the Finance Minister, Bezalel Smotrich. Now, it is very important to mention that this is a fringe movement. This is not a widely held sort of thing here in Israel that people want to resettle Gaza. And this is certainly something that also the United States has been very strongly against. It is saying that it will not accept any kind of resettlement of Gaza. And even last night, the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, he was speaking to US media and he said that he opposes this too.
Thanks for that. Sarah Coates reporting live from Tel Aviv.